So welcome everyone to the Impact Business Group Job Talk, our January 2021 hiring and recruiting trends. And we're going to go over some salary survey results. So some of you may have filled that out. We did a salary survey last month, and we'll go over some of those results and share some of our findings. And my name is Mark I'm here with Steve Betteley in our snowy Grand Rapids, Michigan office today. And we have Mark Herman, who we assume is in a more sunny setting down in Tampa, Florida today. So I'm going to hand it over to Steve to kick things off.
Okay. Move to the next slide. All right. Just waiting for Mark to catch up here a minute. So 2020 was an interesting year to say the least, for everybody. Our agenda today is somewhat tied to the conversations that took place early in 2020 and still continue. From this, the agenda is fairly well laid out. We'll talk through these points. And then, as Mark said, after the last half of the conversation will be relative to the results from the 2021 salary survey. So those that may or may not know us, just want to cover this up front. Impact Business Group, we were founded in 2004. We're made up of professionals in the above disciplines, IT, engineering, finance, and accounting. Over 75% of our staff has 15 years or more of tenure in the staffing services area. We also item number 2, for those that don't know us, we highly encourage you to visit our website. It's fairly well laid out where you can see our current job postings, several candidates that are showcased, as well as an ongoing blog and events like this where replays are available. How we help clients, I would say not only clients but candidates. It's fairly easy to say, but yet hard. Over time we prove ourselves to truly be consultants, not only from an account manager standpoint and those that are on the front line out there facing clients, but our team of delivery personnel and recruiters also do the same thing as far as partnering with the candidates. And together, what we hope is we integrate and match, the people and clients together for those difficult needs, and as well as making it for a positive experience for both. Our locations, our physical locations are in Grand Rapids, Michigan, as well as in Tampa, Florida, with expansion thoughts and plans for late 2021 and 2022 into some new markets. As Mark said, at any time during this conversation, we hope, not just a presentation one way, please unmute, ask questions, type questions in the presentation box, and we will do our best to answer those questions directly. Again, as we had conversations with clients as well as candidates in 2020, primarily after, we saw shutdowns, we saw the challenges initially with COVID-19, and as well as we moved through 2020, the term diversity really, starts resonating through a lot of those conversations. And it isn't just from diversity as, what we have seen in 2020, but a different look about it, and what we like to put out there as what candidates, project teams, clients, everything else are classifying as the disruptors, right? And what they're really looking for is both candidates as well as some clients or candidates are looking for this as well as clients is being part of that diverse team, a diverse reflection in society. If you're have a certain skill, a certain thought, clients are asking, for those different thoughts, those out-of-the-box thinkers, to come in. We're seeing this in IT. We're seeing this in manufacturing. Primarily in manufacturing, as clients sit out and look at new products and new products development, as well as in the software side, where they want a holistic view of what's going on geographically, as well as gender, as well as a lot of the things that are coming up in this area. They want teams to be able to look at things in different ways and to be able to challenge one another. We have seen this over the past 3 or 4 years in a lot of our enterprise or our global accounts that are in the manufacturing space that have traditionally been those comprised, I'm going to say, of the mid to senior white male type composite of those sitting around the development table. With that, there's opportunities there. We're doing a lot with veteran search, with women in engineering searches, with black professional searches, et cetera. So for the clients that are listening out there, if these are challenges that you're facing, we'd love to have more direct dialogue with you. And candidates, if those are areas of interest to you as well, and those are items of importance, we're happy to have those discussions about what clients are asking us as well. The economy, getting back on track. Depending upon what seat you're sitting in, you might agree with this, you may not agree with this, but from the seat that we're sitting in, compared to where we were back in late March, early April, we're seeing leaps and bounds as far as recovery. It may not be happening as fast as everybody wants, across the spectrum, but we are seeing, a significant movement forward. Areas that we're seeing, after COVID hit, seemed like the first areas that were impacted, I would say, would be that lower end of the professional, the workers, the individual contributors, whether it be technician, administrative, I'm going to say the 3 or 4 years, or really those administrative type or initial technician type roles were either furloughed, put out, contracts ended, so on and so forth. In fourth quarter of last year, we saw a significant move, probably more so on the contract side, to bring back some of those positions and to handle some of the work. And one of the reasons why it was fourth quarter and not sooner is corporations were dealing with this gorilla and getting their arms around it from work from home. How are we going to do this? How are we going to train people to do these administrative functions from home? What types of licensing? What types of computer challenges does it have? And most companies have overcome that. They're able to get their hands on the equipment to basically equip individuals from a work from home scenario with the security, with the licensing, with so on and so forth. So that standpoint, we saw a significant uptick into the administration and technical and individual contributor technical space. And in 2021, what we're seeing from a lot of clients is those programs, those projects that were somewhat halted. They've gotten through their budget phase. They're putting some things out there. We're seeing a lot of program work starting to kick off, and that's enticing to us because we're seeing a good mix of not only the higher end positions, I'm going to say more strategic positions on the contract need, but we're also seeing it on the full-time or the permanent hire search need. We'll get into this with the salary survey, but we're kind of in a mix there as far as with these needs now, what we're seeing, whether or not there be permanent hire or contract. So we're extremely hopeful with new administrations taking over that this trend will continue and hopefully take off even stronger. With that kind of going in the employee branding, I'd like to turn this slide and a couple of the next slides over to my partner down in Florida, Mark Herman.
Hey, thanks, Steve. Just want to make sure you guys can hear me.
Ken, thanks,
All
Mark.
right, awesome. Well, hey, welcome everybody. Thanks for joining us. I'm going to take over for a couple of slides and try to keep up with Steve for sure. So, when looking at the employer branding, what that is, that's basically your business identity. And for those companies that are always in our face every day, all day, like Coca-Cola and the big commercials that we're seeing, they've got their brand. They don't need to build that as much as some of the smaller and medium-sized companies that are just doing what they can to operate the business, and they're just now getting to the point where they need to start thinking about their brand. But your brand is very important. That's your identity. That's the story behind your business. And a lot of candidates and future employees out there, they want to know more than just the name of the company and the type of job they're applying for. They want to know, what the company stands for. So a great way to improve your brand, or if you really don't have a footprint out there, is you can work with an agency like us. We can champion your brand for you. We can communicate with the candidates, tell them the story behind the company that's not there. And for the companies that are out there that don't work with an agency, it's pretty important that if you don't have that landing page with information about your company, to put it in your job description to make sure that the candidates that are out there know what they're getting into. All right, let's go to the next one. AI. So AI definitely still in its infancy stage. As a recruiter, I am definitely looking forward to seeing this improve more and more. But it will make life a lot easier and sifting through and vetting the candidate pool that is out there, and even pulling in candidates to our attention that we should be reaching out to. So as that becomes more sophisticated in the search entities, it's going to be pretty exciting for everybody from the staffing world and also companies themselves. Let's go ahead to the next one. All right, our candidate experience. So how can you enhance the candidate experience? I would say the biggest thing is communication. You have potential employees out there that are applying to 20, 30 jobs a day, every day, weeks on end. And I see all the time on LinkedIn, the quantity, the metric behind that. I applied to 90 jobs in the last 4 weeks. I received this. So I think the biggest way for a company to improve the candidate experience is to do what they can to engage with as many applicants as possible. That's tough. On any given job, you're getting 30 to 150 candidates to review. So, hopefully with AI, that'll become a little bit more sophisticated as well. On the candidate side, it is very important that you manage their expectations as well. When you engage with a candidate to begin the interviewing process, it often occurs where if you're not going to get the job, you just don't hear anything. And that's kind of the norm. I'd like for that to change. And, we could certainly enhance the candidate experience by an email, a text, a phone call going out to those candidates that invested time away from their jobs, their families, to evaluate a new company, to receive a professional notice letting them know that the job is no longer available. So I think those are definitely two of the biggest places to start with the candidate experience, but there's a whole laundry list of other things as well. But for the sake of time, we can advance on to the next one.
Yeah, and then we get into flexibility. I guess I sit back at times and look and go, man, did I miss an opportunity 2 or 3 years ago and buying into Zoom, Ring Central, Nextiva, et cetera, with how important these tools, Microsoft Teams have become as far as in the workplace. This has been an interesting discussion with clients, as well as candidates over the past 8 to 10 months as they have deployed these tools, used these tools, kind of shrunk, down into, the virtual meeting room, so to speak. Employers are really becoming more comfortable, and we're seeing a trend whereby they're embracing work from home in as many of their positions and as many of their job categories as possible. And with that, there's still challenges, but they're They're getting a greater reach. They're getting an expanded talent base that they had seen before, just from the standpoint of, individuals weren't going to relocate. Cost benefit analysis on this, the productivity with the right people and staying connected and open communications is significant. It seems to be an area I'm hopeful that will stay in place as hopefully 2021 allows us at some point to have these office doors start opening back up, that there is some still kind of balance between it. But the biggest thing is if you're a candidate to the client or a client to the candidate, there's still, the conversation that will always take place in what challenges does this make for you, and how do you plan and how do you handle those challenges or the stressful situations that come with it. Okay. Now on to the salary survey. As Mark had alluded to earlier, we had taken a salary survey in December. We surveyed several hundred of our candidates about their current employment and salary situation and their plans, more importantly, for 2021. These results, we hope, will give you some insight as to what currently is going on in the job market, and specifically in the areas of IT, engineering, and accounting and finance, which are our core three pillars that we operate in on a daily basis. The bottom half of this slide, are you currently employed? About a quarter of our respondents are currently not working, so it's about 25%. As can be expected, being that we are a staffing agency, right? This number is higher than the average national unemployment rate. And I think depending upon the time, the surveys, everything else, we'll see this fluctuate from, hopefully going forward to a much lower. From an employer standpoint, one of the benefits of working for Impact is that we're able to tap into this large pool of candidates who are unemployed, immediately available, seeking new opportunities, have those open discussions about brand, about everything else, and be immediately tap into individuals that we're currently working with, and hopefully eliminating the sifting through. If we're seeing 25%, I can only imagine how many individuals are applying to employers' websites and having, their smaller talent acquisitions groups having to cipher through those. So from that standpoint, there's still a significant percentage of people that are applying for positions. How can we help? Probably sifting through is one of the greatest areas. What is your job role? This is, 60-40 split between the individual contributor and people leader, which was, interesting. But in these areas, in the career fields, we're seeing that it's pretty much split through, and primarily the 45 to 50% in the other category, heavy in the administrative, heavy into business operations area, that they're not comfortable saying we're finance and accounting, we're engineering or IT, but more in that business operations stage that we do an awful lot of staffing and supplier for enterprise accounts through their VMS systems. So customer service, admin types, things of that nature. They're still working in those areas. That's where we saw probably the greatest growth in the end of third quarter and fourth quarter. The information technology area that we saw growth in as well towards the tail end of the year, as well as in the middle, right? We saw a lot of project needs for desktop individuals, for network people, for telecommunications people, as you could expect with what transitions were occurring with work from home, trying to equip the workforce, trying to get collaboration tools up and running. Engineering, We see an awful lot into that manufacturing area, mainly from a material handling, from a fulfillment, from warehouse automation. I think a lot of that comes from, my wife is probably driving that up immensely with Amazon and others, but as well as medical device, healthcare still continues to hold as far as sectors that are holding their own and adding top talents. This is, after 2020, that's brought a lot of turbulence and changes to the job market. One area, our survey shows that a large percentage of candidates are currently applying for jobs, with over 60% saying that they have applied to at least 1 to 10 jobs in the past 90 days. Now, given that that was back in December, it's still a lot of applicants out there. Still, probably more applicants than jobs right now. So we're, hopefully going to see that balance out. And again, one of the areas that if you're struggling that with finding the right candidates or filtering through a lot of applicants, we're happy to help and move that match along a little quicker and easier. For full-time employees who have applied, so there's also this interesting factor that even those that are employed right now continue to look either that they may not be seeing the right work-life balance for them. Maybe it's not remote and they're concerned about health factors, working on site, et cetera, and looking for, from their personal standpoint, more protection, a little bit more flexibility, and maybe just offering more direct contribution, so to speak, to a team environment with some of those other areas that we were speaking to. For his 2021 career plans, roughly 75% are explicitly saying that they're actively looking or at least open to hearing about new opportunities. Again, we're showing the same thing that we're seeing in various slides, but again, it confirms the data from the previous questions as to what will be happening in the job market in 2021. Response by state, it's kind of interesting. I mean, these are probably our core states that we operate in with our clients. But one of the things that I would add to this, because the slide speaks to itself, Impact Business Group has active consultants or individuals out in project capacity or clients in at least 37 of the 48 contiguous states. So as we look at this, while it's not collective, east to west coast, it's a pretty good sample size. And I know we weren't able to hit anybody in Canada or Mexico, but we do reach into Canada and Mexico as well, not with a large amount of opportunities, but being that some of our clients are truly global in nature, we do have to go across the border sometime. What are your most important job satisfaction factors? It's salary being obviously the number one answer. Other job satisfaction answers that stood out are company, culture, benefits, work from home flexibility, advancement opportunities. That's always, from those that are in the same position over a period of time, we like to hear and work with candidates. Probably the candidates that we like to work with the most and represent are those that, have this desire to take on more over time, and their resume reflects that. So again, as that branding, as that culture, as those attributes that clients look for, call out, we're that's again where we get the greatest satisfaction, is kind of matching up those candidates with the right attributes that the client needs. Current annual compensation range, it's really all over the board, right? It's fairly evenly split and aligns with the positions we recruit for. As far as 225%, I mean, we primarily are in that spot of initial 3 to 5 year type tenure talents, in that 50 to 70,000 range, to a whole variety of positions that are strategic management or executive on the well above 100K. 25% of the respondents have not worked within a staffing agency before. New to it, we're seeing an outreach to this with the unemployment rate being high. So we're taking that fairly seriously, that we understand at any given time that we're dealing with a candidate and this is their first level of experience. So hopefully those that have worked with us or first time staffing and have reached out to us for the first time, hopefully they've gained a good experience. The other ones, close to as we expected. We'll summarize it kind of in the next slide, but over the past 3 or 4 weeks, since the beginning of the year, we continue to see a huge spike in both contract and perm hire searches, and in our conversations, continued conversations with some of our key clients on this, and just kind of gauging for the rest of the first quarter and into the second quarter. There's an awful lot of program work that might have been delayed just from an administration change or just from a planning change. But February and March look to be pretty exciting for certain programs, or a lot of program kickoff within our clients, that activities that were stalled in third and fourth quarter of 2020, we're already getting the request to start proactively keeping an eye out for certain talents, whether they be for ERP implementations, whether they be for new product development, acquisition type activities with manufacturing transfer. The amount of needs and the variety of needs between engineering, IT, and finance and accounting is pretty exciting as we look towards 2021. In summary, there's a large number of currently working employees looking or planning to look for new opportunities, and we're also seeing a good amount of hiring managers say, we're getting ready. Okay, so I think we're on track for hopefully a much greater and more fun 2021 than 2020 was. So with that, I'll kind of step back. I'll be quiet. We're happy to take any questions, Mark and myself, and I think we also might even have a few other impact individuals online that can help answer questions.
Yep, just hit *7 to unmute, and I'm happy to take all your questions, or you can type it in the chat box and we'll answer it that way as well. And while we're waiting for any incoming questions, I'll just mention real quick that I'll be sending out a link to the recording of this webinar, as well as the salary survey. So check your email. Probably by tomorrow I'll send that out and have that to you so you can watch it back if you want to, or look at it more in detail.
Hey, Steve and Mark, this is Terry Christopher. Can you hear me okay?
Yeah, Terry, how are you?
Good. Hey, I noticed you referenced AI and maybe some of the people that have been displaced as a result of downsizing and such. Is there any specific training that you could recommend if they want to rebrand themselves and maybe take some AI courses to get up to speed so they'd be more marketable?
Yeah, that's a great question from that standpoint. There's, we're seeing a whole variety of different areas starting to flow in from AI. I would say, Terry, from the seats that we sit in, there isn't a day that goes by that Matt or Doug or myself or Mark don't see some type of firm that is publishing or getting with us about what they have done with AI to equip us with search capabilities, as far as candidate side, quicker, faster, more efficient, right? So, we've got, there's the Indeeds, there's the Monsters, there's the Career Builders, right? I mean, some of this is what Mark was referencing to as AI is, more glorified as far as tools that are available for us. From the standpoint of how that triggers or how you take advantage of it, because it starts with something that you put out there, right? A resume, a LinkedIn profile, something of that nature. My advice to the candidate side is always, look at what is of interest to you and continue to take a look at that and how you invest in yourself and reflect that, even if you're taking trainings, on your resume, on your LinkedIn profile. Connect with those groups of interest out on LinkedIn. The more you do that, the more that network grows. Then I know it's got to be a trigger point eventually for these AI systems or these groups that are promoting the use of AI into the staffing area. Does that help?
Yeah, thanks a lot. Appreciate that.
Do we have any other questions?
If they do come up later, feel free. Mark, there's always an inbox on our website. Feel free to ask any question. As well as on there, we have, Mark Herman and myself. Our email addresses are fairly easy to find out there. Feel free to email us directly. Pick up the phone, call, ask for Mark or ask for myself. We'll definitely get you to the right team member. Answer any questions one-on-one, and see how we can help you with your need, with your challenge, with your search.
Yep. We have a couple of questions.
Yep.
Is this presentation available to print? I will be emailing out the PowerPoint slides as well as the PDF for the salary survey. So I'll send those out and you'll be able to print those from there. And then another question came in. What can employers offer beyond the traditional compensation and benefit packages to attract and retain employees? What are new benefits?
Yeah. The biggest one that we're seeing, is of first and foremost on everybody's mind is the health benefits, right? Before the pandemic, I would have said, how do you keep people healthy, right? Gym club memberships, everything else, but that's kind of out the door. The ongoing training, the investment into alignment of, like what Terry said, if somebody has an interest in AI, how does that relate to their position? How does that relate to a direction that the company is going? So certifications are a win-win for both employee as well as employer. So the ongoing investment in their education, and I know a lot of clients not only have done that, but they've asked for, if I'm going to invest in you, I'd like that they put kind of a ball and chain around them, so to speak, that we're going to ask for a period of time for you to stay with the company, and if you leave before that, then there's a payback to make sure that everybody's serious. The work from home standpoint is huge for a lot of families. Flexible hours are huge for families, especially where you have two working parents that are working at the same time, younger families, kids at home doing homeschooling. How can you make this so, both parents, they can work around a schedule that works for them and accomplishes what the employer needs, So those are just a few thoughts from what we've been discussing. Hopefully that helps.
And we have another question. Are candidates typically able to see an improved situation or having to take less to work this year?
We've seen it both, right? I mean, it's perspective on that. Some individuals have had to go a route to work in the areas that they want to work, whether it be in IT or engineering, that may not be ideal for them, and primarily where they have left a permanent hire position due to business downturn, due to just restrictions, things of that nature, and the opportunities for them to enter back in, maybe, not of the same level compensation benefits, but represent, going back to work as in contract capacity. I think that's the biggest part about, where we've seen that is how companies, how employers are starting to get people back to work because they've got work that needs to be done, but they can't bring them back in that operating cost model. They have to tie them to project needs, which are more on the capital side. So they're capitalizing those costs.
All right, I think
so. I would say, to answer that question is, if you were a permanent hire to get into some of these companies that are heavy in the use of contract talent, they're dealing with the same thing. It's contract to hire. I would say with opportunities, it never hurts to talk. Find out why if you're in a contract opportunity discussion, why is this need open? Was it previously filled by a full-time employee? Are there opportunities beyond contract if I'm successful? What does success look like? Those types of questions will take it one step in front of the other. Okay.
And we have another question. Has the dollar amount salary offer decreased from 2019 due to the economic situation for all types of job positions?
Since 2019?
Yep.
Steve, I can jump in and say I saw not a significant jump from 2019 to 2020, but salaries did continue to increase into 2020 from what I saw. Steve, you're absolutely right. A lot more contract work out there, but I'm finding from what we see down here in the Southeast that the compensation ranges definitely have not decreased. If anything, they've stayed stagnant or even gone up a bit.
Yeah.
And I would say that's almost across the board for all positions.
Yeah, I mean, there's still a lot of companies that are doing extremely well. I don't think that anybody is looking, or at least the clients that I've been in conversation with aren't looking at keeping people on, all right, and reducing their salaries or trying to replace positions with lower. You do have individuals where people took early retirement and have been with companies for 15, 20 years. Obviously, they aren't replacing them with salaries that are that high. They're replacing them with somebody at a lower skill level, lower years of experience, which equates to lower dollars. But overall, compared apples to apples, yeah, I'm not seeing it where we're deflating, so to speak, as far as salaries.
Don't see any other questions, so unless we have any other questions on the phone. Oh, we just got one. Let's see. It says, in the IT field, I'm most interested in software development. Have you seen candidates without a degree, maybe those in a boot camp style program, be successful in the job market? Are companies becoming more open to individuals without a degree?
Yeah, it really depends upon what development firms, I think it's personality. I think it's what you've learned, how you've learned it. But it will come down to most of our clients that are in the development field or in the development areas. It ultimately will come down to, you're going to have to pass that test, right? Sit around a group of individuals. They'll hand somebody an example, a problem, and collectively, we're all familiar with the agile development methodology. It's a mini meeting, it's brainstorming, it's getting it out, and basically writing some code. And how do you write it, right? I mean, from a software developer, there's a lot of companies that we've got a few relationships where they ask for the individuals coming out of high school, okay? Because they want to grab them, they want to mold them, they want to shape them, and they want to invest upon them. And these are companies that have their own compiler, do their own types of versions of code, things of that nature. Okay, so yeah, there's definitely opportunities for that. Would I say they're on equal of what a degreed individual would have? It really depends. But if you're sharp, if you have the drive, if you have the willingness to learn, and most importantly, fit into certain cultures, we're able to make that match fairly quickly. Say, get a hold of us.
All right.
Good.
Yeah. So if we don't have any other questions, just real quick, thanks everyone for joining today. If you'd like to learn more about us or check out our job postings or get a hold of Steve or anybody else, you can come to our website at impactbusinessgroup.com. And I will be emailing out the slides and the recording and such tomorrow. So if anyone wanted to revisit anything, I'll have that in your email box. If you do have any other questions, feel free to reply to any of the emails that I've sent out as well, and I'll get it to Steve and Mark to get back with you. So with that, thank you very much, everyone, for joining, and we look forward to talking to you again and see you hopefully next time. Thank you.